Okay, welcome to UDL 201. Today, I'm Patty Del Greco and Christy Krinsline is with me. We're both IDs, and we have a guest speaker today, an instructor, and that's Meg Tefano. So this morning or this afternoon, depending where you are, we're going to be more strategic than we have in the past, and we're going to talk about specific UDL guidelines, or shall I say checkpoints. I created a link here to the UDL guidelines. A participant live transcription enable. Okay, yay. And if we look, we're going to talk about expression and communication, which is checkpoint 5.1, self-regulation, checkpoint 9.1. And then Meg's going to talk to you a little bit about recruiting interest, 7.1, and comprehension 3.1. So if you go ahead and click on your UDL guidelines, you'll see that we're going to touch on all three of the principles, which is providing multiple means of engagement, providing multiple means of representation, and providing multiple means of action and expression. So the first place I want to go with you today is I'm hoping this is going to be slightly more interactive, and I want to do a little bit of talking, and I want you to do a little bit of talking. So we want to talk a little bit about perhaps what you're offering in terms of alternative formats to paper writing. And when I say paper writing, I'm really talking more about traditional paper writing, academic paper writing. So some of those ideas or things could be video, audio recordings, presentations, role playing, blogs or web pages, drawing or photography, newspaper articles or editorials, poems, plays, graphs, diagrams, and infographics, or anything else. I'd like to hear from you in terms of maybe what you're doing in your courses, because like we said, we really want this to be a more of a share out experience. So I'm going to turn it over to anyone who has something to offer at this particular time.
Well, rather than an academic paper, which I have always done, I've always done a very strange academic paper called a paradox paper instead of a thesis paper. You learn how to write a thesis paper in 3rd grade. That's when it starts. And when I discovered paradox papers, I realized they were much better intellectually. Essentially, a paradox is what makes thinking interesting. But I'm going to set that aside for another day. And I'm going to talk about, instead of doing an academic paper, what I did in my Roman civilization course is I had students do a screenwriting. They wrote a screenwriting? No, that's not what it's called. Screenplay.
Oh,
a screenplay. Okay. And we didn't have time in 8 weeks to do, or 7 weeks, can't remember, to write a whole screenplay. So we did what's called a screenplay treatment. And Bonnie helped me find the parts to be able to do that. And it was one of the best assignments I've ever given, and got the best reviews from my students and the most deep insights from students. So it was really, really powerful assignment. I know Lisa does other things other than academic papers, right? Don't you?
I'm joking. Well, the problem is I teach writing.
right.
So,
I know.
Right.
So I mostly do papers because that's what the students want to do. That's what they're in the course to do.
Well, some of the things that it isn't necessarily about them not writing, because writing is often exactly what students have to do. But we're thinking about maybe an assignment that might be more authentic. For instance, in a journalism course, it would be more authentic for them to write a newspaper article or editorial rather than an academic paper. So it isn't about not necessarily using text. It's just about being maybe more authentic is the best term that I can think of that might actually have something to do with, you know, a job that they're currently working in, or a career that they're hoping to maybe get into in the future. Possibly something they're going to, like a real world application for their writing. So I know with you, Lisa, is it short stories or is it memoir that we worked on together? That's
So
yeah, go
So
ahead.
in my writing classes, my undergraduate, I teach only undergraduate.
Okay.
We never do academic papers.
Right.
Sometimes the very first assignment is an academic paper to help them learn about the genre,
Yeah.
because that's where they're comfortable right during that week. But then we always write memoir or creative nonfiction, you know, whatever the genre is, that's what we focus on, because that's what they're there to learn. And in just 7 weeks, you got to write a lot and get a lot of feedback to, you know, to be able to feel like you're really getting something from that course. And so, yeah, I wouldn't sit them in a class where where they think they're going to learn how to write memoir and have them write a lot of analysis. They get that analysis in the discussion forums together.
Yes.
So that's where that works.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
oh, sorry, Patty. I was just going to say, I didn't know if you saw the chats as well, that, you know, Lisa, we love to hear what you have to say. And then we do have Catherine Pope that has shared some information too.
Okay, and I gotta open my chat.
And Catherine was saying that she teaches academic writing, but she did start to distinguish between assignments that are explicitly linked to writing learning objectives and those linked more to analysis or content. So right along, you know, the lines like Lisa was sharing, and she's been able to reconfigure several assignments as choices. So students can submit either an MP3, a video, or a paper.
Okay, wonderful. So, because that was real, that feeds into my next question. Is it possible to offer that choice? Does it always need to be text-based? Can you think of an assignment? This is sort of the challenge question. Can you think of an assignment that you would maybe normally have students writing, and then say, okay, if you don't want to write a paper, can you show me or demonstrate your learning by doing a infographic or a video or a podcast or something like that? So right now the challenge is, can any of you think of an assignment or want to ask questions about an assignment that you'd be willing or might be considering changing? I'm just wondering if while we're here with all these people in the room, if we could all sort of brainstorm around this.
I think I have some options. Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm in the
Kelly?
Hi, I'm in the MAP program, and I teach child and adolescent development and psychopharmacology and research for mental health professionals. And the research class is a little more prescribed and probably has less freedom because the learning objectives are directly related to academic writing. But the other two, yeah, I think I do use mixed media currently because psychopharmacology is primarily asynchronous. And so there's both writing and uploads of video and of oral content. But the choice, I hadn't thought about the choice aspect of it before, because there are 2 written projects in each class. But especially in psychopharmacology, the first written project they do is an interview. And it seems like that would lend itself so easily to other formats. So yeah, I don't have any particularly wise points to make, but I can just offer those 2 classes, child and adolescent and psychopharm, as options for choices easily to me.
I think that's kind of what we're trying to advocate for, is choice, not, you know, do away with all writing, because like Lisa said, some people are much more comfortable with writing, but some of our students are not. And students who, and I'm actually just sort of, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be, but perhaps if English isn't your first language, it might be easier not to write, or maybe you just prefer to talk or video your conversations or with someone. It could enrich the experience also if you really, I mean, if the person didn't want to necessarily be recorded in the interview, you could just have someone asking the questions and you could listen to what the interviewee was saying. So that is, yeah, that's, thank you, Kelly, for sharing that. Is there anyone else who has some thoughts or ideas and we could possibly help you brainstorm around an assignment that you currently might be more paper oriented, but you'd like to kind of offer some choice?
I like that interview idea, especially because of the idea that Bonnie has really helped me see is to try to have in the middle of the course time for reflection. That if you don't have any time for reflection, you really kind of just zipping along and who knows what happened. But it'd be interesting to use that. I mean, I hadn't thought of doing it at all, so I really appreciate the suggestion. We could do a verbal interview, maybe with a co-student. Maybe tape it on a Zoom thing, but just between the two students, and do a reflection activity, so that you could see, okay, well, we've been studying this myth, and we've been learning how important this particular theme is in this whatever. And I could just see one asking the other, you know, like maybe have them each ask each other 3 questions, or I don't know how I would design it, but I think that could be really fun and really helpful for the reflection part of the course.
You know, just when you were talking about myths, I was also thinking visually, you know, I mean, could students provide a visual? And I don't know what that would be, or create a visual, like either a drawing or a painting to illustrate a myth. I don't know. I mean, just throwing that out there. Also, Bonnie added, and I want to get you talking, Bonnie, is talking a little bit about Wakelet.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
it.
Bonnie, tell us a little bit about your Wakelet assignment.
Okay, so I'll take this from 2 texts. One, David Norgard uses it in his undergraduate online courses, and I have submitted Wakelet as an assignment for the IMA courses that I'm a student in. Wakelet is a collection of collections. It can be a set of collections of resources, and you can link PDFs, websites, videos, text, graphics. And so in David's example, in one of his history of Judaism classes, I think, I can't remember the exact title, each week, instead of doing a discussion forum, or in some weeks, instead of doing a discussion forum, he has the students add some items to a weekly Wakelet that are resources that they found, graphics, memes, or writing or quotes related to that week's topic. So the students participate in producing a group collection for each week, and then they can access that anytime after class is over. And then they have all those resources sort of at their fingertips. They can continue to expand it. What I did was worked with a co-student in my class, and we created a Wakelet, where we made collections around several of the main themes in our course. This was at the end of the term, linking a bunch of graphics, websites. We essentially built a teacher resource site for teachers, parents, students, and school administrators to learn about the inequities that Black girls face in schools, and resources for changing those things. So we had a news collection, we had a teacher's resources section, and we could annotate those resources, like that is, add our voice to say what we thought was so poignant, spectacular, or critical about why we included that resource. So it's not just linking the resource itself, but you can also comment on the utility of the resource. And so,
okay, you know, just out of curiosity, you said annotate. So I'm wondering, okay, say if you link to an article or something, like that, how do you annotate the article? Or did you have a separate Google sheet that you are working with or something?
A wakelet can have sections of text, and each link in a wakelet has an area for description. So
Oh.
you can either add the link and then you can type your thoughts in the description area,
Okay,
or you can add the link with the description of the link, and then you can put in a text block after it that has your comment on it. You're sharing your screen, so I didn't share mine.
well,
but if
you know
someone wants
what,
to check-
let me see, are people interested in seeing this at this particular time? Yes, Pete says yes. So we're doing it, Pete. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Bonnie, I'm gonna let you share, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate this because I know the tool. Oh, I helped design it was David, but I've never seen it in operation. So that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
And that's one of my issues is like, I'm the ID, but once, the course, I don't know what happens to these tools or whatever, once the course is actually, students are in them. So,
Yeah,
okay. Thank
And
you
I
so
have
much.
access to David's because he's invited me as a member to join his wakelet.
Okay, wonderful.
I don't go through. So this is one of his. He has created certain different collection for each week. And once you're in the collection and have joined this space, the students have access, and they can include links, Holocaust Encyclopedia, Israelites Crossing the Red Sea, and it's noted which student included them, and they can obviously change their name so that you can see who added what. If
So
I
does David say to them, you need to add this little blurb about why it is you posted this here, or give us, like you said,
I don't know what his exact instructions.
okay, because I
The
can't remember
instructions could
offhand.
be to find 3 resources to share. I'm seeing there's 5 here by one student, so maybe they have a certain number they have to go find.
Uh-huh.
They may discuss that in the discussion forum about why they chose those resources. They could put it in here. So when you add up here, you can add text.
Mhm. Okay.
You could add a text block and it could be formatted, and that could be right. You could write, my opinion is da da da. You could sign, it would have your name on it.
That is very cool. I love the fact that this could really enrich a forum, especially in a completely synchronous online course. Because often, we tell students to just kind of, find a couple of things and put it in there. But this is kind of a nicer or better place to house a lot of different resources. And it's a nice visual that you're not going to get in the forum discussion in Sakai.
Yeah,
So-
it's very easy to do these visual bookmarks. I think that's the appeal. This is my Educating Black Girls to Thrive project, which I did with another student. We made different collections, and then we put certain things in certain collections, sort of as a statement as to what things went together. And so that teachers could use these and investigate these on their own. These are in fact public. We made our wakelet public. They can stay private to your group. David's is completely private because that would be a FERPA violation. Unless students put their name, wanted to agree to it, that's fine.
Sure.
But you can embed a video, you can embed an article, whatever you need. So it's not, there's even a new tool called Wakelet for Education, but I think that works better in K-12 environments.
So this would make, like you said, a great project. Accompanying the wakelet, was there a short paper to share your thoughts or reflect on the actual project, or?
We did a presentation in our
Oh,
class.
you did a presentation. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
I can see
Would
this.
any of you, any of the instructors who are here today, think that particular tool would be helpful or an alternative to something you might be doing presently?
Is the wakelet permanent? Like when the next class is taught, does that wakelet stay there so the students can keep adding to it, or is it a new one every course?
It would indeed be a new one each section in order not to violate FERPA. you could either delete it or just make a new space for the new class.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, this is Lisa. I think that my writers would love that because they love sharing information with each other. So even if it was something that wasn't a graded activity, I think it might be extremely popular.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you, Bonnie. That was wonderful. Because like I said, I knew a little bit about this tool. Like I said, I helped set it up and I see David's using it, but I didn't realize that it had all these other possibilities. So thank you so much for sharing that.
yeah, they could just be a resource sharing site, like you said, that's not a graded expectation, but where people share resources with their
Yeah.
classmates.
Right, yeah. Anyone else have something, fun to share with us?
Well, I was just going to add for the Wakelet that,
Okay.
I wish I would have had that when I was writing my dissertation. As I'm thinking, I don't know practicality, with Antioch, but maybe as students, if they're in the graduate programs, I think this would be a great resource for them, undergrad or grad, really.
You mean to keep track of their stuff?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
In a visual way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if they're, focusing on a theme, or if there's something, an issue that they're passionate about, I mean, they could continuously, add to that information.
Right.
Exactly. As they're progressing through their program at Antioch.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And Carolyn just added that she loves discussion forum, but she thinks she'll add Wakelet in this way, 1 week with, I think it's Eddie, for annotating a text. Thanks, Bonnie.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, we've shared some really wonderful ideas. And again, I'll do a pitch for the IDs and AT in general. Any questions, just please send them to us. We will do our best to answer them or, meet with you to help you design as an assignment or give you ideas about an assignment that you might be struggling with. Unfortunately, in these workshops, we don't usually, we aren't able to get to you personally, but certainly we have plenty of time to meet with you after the workshop. Just let us know and we'll schedule something. So I'm going to move this on to Christy, and she's going to talk a little bit, because one of the issues that often instructors will say is like, well, how am I going to evaluate, somebody who does a video and somebody who does a paper and somebody who does, a Wakelet collection? How's that possible? And so we're going to talk to you a little bit about rubrics and the value of rubrics, not only for you to evaluate, but the value of rubrics for students to help guide the students in their learning. So, Christy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. So, as we were talking about this presentation, I think it's really fascinating to think about the opportunity to permit students to really be creative. Now, it's not always applicable to your course or to your content, may not be relevant to the type of learning outcomes that you are trying to have students demonstrate, but you can add that element of creativity for helping students provide evidence of mastery of concepts, of learning theories, of the course learning outcomes. And so, when I think about it, I think about if they're given a topic and they're asked to reflect, or they're asked to, really kind of dive into a specific concept, they could do it in a number of ways. As Patty was saying, it could be a presentation, maybe they write poetry, maybe it's a painting, and then that leads itself to the question, well, how am I going to be able to fairly and accurately assess their learning? We have some different rubrics that we've created, as well as there's resources out there. I use the website AAC&U all the time, because they have some pretty fantastic resources for rubrics. And if you don't mind, Patty, could you click on the UC Berkeley Center for Teaching and Learning? So they have taken this, the value rubrics that, yes, and then if you just scroll down a bit, it is the value rubrics there. Oops. Yes, value rubrics right there in the middle. And just click on that page. So what's nice is with A, C, and U, it's tough to say, you have the opportunity to use rubrics that are normed and validated. And you know that they're, within the industry. So you can also tweak them. So just because you see the rubric doesn't mean you have to use that one exactly. But I always think it's a good starting place. For me, I focus more on let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's see what we need to do to get moving forward. So when you're looking at these rubrics, it can help provide guidance for students, as Patty was saying. It really helps. Hopefully students are going to look at the rubric before they begin the assignment. And that might be a case that you really need to urge or really promote to your students. As Antioch starts considering using rubrics more frequently, it is a learning curve for all of us. And especially students, because they need to know why they're relevant, why it's important. In K through 12 education, we're seeing more and more teachers that are using rubrics. So the, Gen Z and some of the traditional age students, they're seeing this more frequently than some of, when we went through K through 12, I didn't really know what a rubric was, I think, until maybe college or graduate school. So, but the whole purpose, though, is just to help identify the criteria of the assignment so that students will know what's expected. So it's helping identify the exact criteria. And then it's also going to be a marker of quality. So that's where, were you exceptional? Was it, we can do numbers, we can do descriptive words. So here's the creative rubric. And what I like about it too is that it helps you with the scoring. So when I've done some online teaching, it helps me keep in perspective what the overall goal of the assignment is, but then also I'm considering each individual work. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm consistent with my expectations. It helps me eliminate some of the subjectivity because you're seeing it laid out very descriptive. And it's helping me give that holistic approach to their assignment, as well as when I'm personally grading, I'm thinking about, okay, where are we with each individual student? Was there a theme that maybe I didn't explain as well? Or is there something that maybe was kind of a challenge or a hurdle for the students? But the real reason I feel that a lot of faculty do like to use the rubrics are just for clarity of content. It's that explanation of the assignment so students can understand it in a little bit more detail and have some parameters. But then it also helps provide, what's the purpose of this assignment and what do I really need to get to? I know sometimes I get interested in something and then I can end up in left field. So for me, the rubrics help keep me centered and focused and remembering, okay, what is the direction that we're going? Why are we going here? And then it's the level of, the degree to which I can complete it. Satisfactory, like I said, you can excellent, however you wish to name that. And again, just thank you, Bonnie, for sharing the value rubrics packet. But once again, when you use this, it's really nice because it's open, it's open to anybody. So we can take these and use these and then kind of tweak it to your individual, your needs. So that's what I had for the value rubric. If you want to go back to the regular slide, then I did share the link for our presentation with you. Hopefully you're able to access that. And we've started, if you want to click on the multiple means of expression rubrics. So Patty and I were kind of brainstorming some different ideas. Again, because when you're thinking about, well, somebody might, create a song, another person might write a poem. How am I going to evaluate this? And so what we tried to do is think of the big overarching goals that you want students to be able to demonstrate. So, we want to make sure that they understand the content, that they're able to express those ideas. And, we're continuing to kind of draft this multiple means of expression rubric. So this is just kind of our brainchild, actually mostly Patty's brainchild. She's done an amazing job on this, but we're open to suggestions, additions, to sharing. Again, it's just a starting place that we wanted to get to so we could have a conversation about how would you, because that is a challenging question. How would you assess if you're allowing students to submit different formats for an assignment? How are we able to do that? So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, and the idea was you could cut and paste this. I mean, you'll have a Word version of this for yourself, and you can take if it doesn't make sense, if innovative thinking isn't what you're looking for, you just take that out, you put in what you want there. It was just to get you started, because rubrics can be very intimidating, and they're difficult to write. The AACU rubrics are unbelievable, but you might want to, and I provided you with a Word version of those because you can kind of cut and paste those, and you might want to take a look at those, but they are really overkill to some extent. They might be a little bit too much, but you can glean some things from them. So yeah, we wanted we wanted to say, don't let the evaluation of the assignment keep you from offering students choice, because it can happen. You can assess it based on the criteria and not necessarily based on the format.
Perfect. Thank you, Patty.
Yeah. Okay. Now, at this point, we have a guest, and our guest is Meg. And Meg's going to talk about something that she does in her courses presently that relates to checklist 7.1, which is activating or supplying background knowledge, and also, let me see, 7.1, where is 7.1? Optimizing individual choice and autonomy. So, Meg, I'm turning it over to you at this point. Let's talk about predicting.
Oh, sorry, Meg, you have to unmute.
There's a thunderstorm going on, so I muted.
Of course.
Because otherwise there's no sound in my world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I uploaded a photo of my very first course to the papers that you sent me, Christy. I didn't know any other way of sharing it, and
Meg, do you want me to try to find that for you? I can stop sharing for a second. You can just keep talking until I find it.
Okay. It's just fun to look at because it was so long ago and it's still the same story.
Okay, let me look around for it.
Okay, it was in the first papers that Christy shared with me, and it's a Google Doc, and I just uploaded one picture. And, from literally 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. What I've been doing is from the beginning I've been trying to create a individualized experience for each student, because ethically I started realizing, and I think most of you do, if you aren't offering something special about online, you might not be giving the student the same value of teaching as you would in a classroom. So by making it individualized, there it is. Yeah, this is so old. so funny. I tried to make it look like a game at the very beginning. I tried to make my course look like a game. I think I made it look a little too messy, but this was my first draft. This is really long time ago, before we even had an LMS yet. I've been doing this so long. For those of you who don't know, I was teaching on closed circuit TV for years before the internet. So I've been teaching online a really long time. But the prediction idea is not what you think. I have the students predict what they think they're going to learn in the course. And you might think that you're doing that for all sorts of reasons. The reason I'm doing it is because what it does for me is it gives me an immediate low
Stakes.
That's the word I always forget.
Yeah, I know. I was talking about yesterday. So
Right.
stakes.
That's what Bonnie talks about. It gives me an immediate low stakes assignment that tells me more about the student than you can normally get from a student, because they know whatever they know, and they're predicting what they think they're going to learn in this course. I can't begin to tell you how helpful it is when you get to the end of the course and you have to write a narrative evaluation. It's almost like a preparation for finishing the course, because I know where they started and I can usually include that in the narrative. In any case, they're not supposed to read anything. So it's the opposite of an assignment. Read this, do that. You know, it's the opposite of that. I don't want you to read anything. You just have a title of the course. Tell me what you think you're going to learn, and you'd be extremely amused at some of what people think they're going to learn in a course. In any case, I learn a lot. And then the student starts off with this extremely honest relationship with me, telling me these things. And then I have them do something that's very similar to the other low stakes stuff we were talking about earlier the other day. I have them write not answers. I have them write questions. What the hell? Why does Roman history matter? Or what does critical thinking have to do with getting a job? Or I mean, whatever questions they come up with amazing questions. In fact, the questions they come up with oftentimes, I mean, the collection I have of questions from that part of this course are some of my most prized possessions, because they are writing these questions from a genuinely uninformed point of view. So I understand as a teacher how far back I have to go to help them catch up. You know, if you just have them read stuff and answer questions, you don't know how much they don't know. And so you really can't help them. In any case, then I had them, of course, do whatever they're supposed to do, whatever the assignments are, and they're different for every course. I've taught a lot of enormous number of different courses. But then after they finish reading, I have them write 6 more questions, no answers yet. So we're talking lots of low stakes starting assignments, very low stakes. You're not putting them on are you smart? Are you able to remember? Are you, all of the, I had nuns, so all the stuff that nuns would hit me with the ruler about, none of that kind of behavior. So they have that nice feeling like by the beginning of the middle of the second week, they feel like, well, maybe this is worth my time. Maybe I'm going to have some fun. Once I get them into that state of mind, and then of course I had them do optional activities, and I was never able to do something I would love to do, and it would fit beautifully into what you were talking about, Patty. The visualization, there's just not enough time. I wanted them to spend time going out on the internet and just discovering what's going on in that period of history and get pictures in their head. I do it for them because there's just not enough time in our courses, but you can see how valuable that is for mindset. to know that when you're in 500 BC, you're in a different time set than you are when you are in, I don't know, 1850 or whatever period other period we're studying. The most important part of the prediction, strangely, isn't, after all of the good things I just told you about it, the best part is at the end of the course. Now we've done all these activities and all this work and written our papers and had all these discussions, and they have to grade other students on the student who gave you the best ideas in our discussions. I mean, all this stuff has gone on. Then they have to write the difference between what they thought they were going to learn. They've already written out the prediction and handed it in, so they can't fake it and go back. And the difference between what they thought they were going to learn and what they learned. And you can tell. Now, at the beginning of online teaching, the biggest problem was lying, to be honest. There was just a lot of lying going on. People weren't really in the course. They just thought they could just do anything. I'm not sure what they were thinking. But there's one thing you can't do, is you can't have somebody else write the difference between what you predicted and what you learned. You have to do it yourself. So it had a very authentic quality to it, and it has a very authentic quality to it to this day. And students are able to get that exciting feeling of, wow, I forgot what I was thinking back then, because that's been, I've slept since then. And then they get that exciting feeling of wonder and interest and excitement about the subject, and didn't know that the subject existed oftentimes. And it's an amazing, and then it's extremely helpful for me in writing a narrative evaluation. I can talk about the arc of the student's discovery, because they've been really doing it for me, but they don't know that. And then I also know that I'm working with a student who really worked hard or didn't work hard in the course. I mean, I know a lot about the student from that. So that's what I've been doing.
Hey, is anyone else using something like predicting in their courses right now? I mean, very recently, we didn't use predicting, but we used a non-graded quiz. And so students had to engage in this non-graded quiz first week, prior to reading the lecture. So we asked a bunch of questions like, what do you think? So that when they read the lecture, they would be able to check what they thought the answer was as to what it actually, what it was. So that was kind of a good tool. In fact, they had to engage in the non-graded quiz before the lecture even opened. So we had it, what's that called, a prerequisite? You had to take the quiz, and then you could read the lecture and find out the answers to the quiz. So the person who I designed this with is not here today, and I would really like to ask him, and I don't know how that went for him. If he learned a lot, or if the students were excited about it. We were able to set it up so even though it was ungraded, he could see the answers, which student answered correctly or not correctly. So that's another way to kind of, guide learning a little bit, or get students motivated for learning. I think that, or to activate or supply that background knowledge that is important. We see that again in providing options for comprehension. So I guess it's time, and we're kind of getting close to an hour. So I'm gonna go back
Patty,
to this.
can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm just wondering if anybody would like to see how Meg put those prediction and share the difference questions in her Sakai site, or if you just wanted to think about that as a concept. I didn't want to.
Well, I'm fine with that, Meg. If you want to prepare, I mean, because we're kind of, you need to open up your site, and I can stop sharing the screen. And while you're doing that, I can ask people if they have any questions.
Bonnie, can you open that up for me?
Yes,
Oh,
I-
that,
yes,
oh,
I
that
can.
even makes it easier because Bonnie will do it.
Because Bonnie
you,
knows how
Bonnie.
to do it faster, and
Yeah.
my brain is on
Yes.
toast right now.
Okay, well, that's great. That's great. I mean, thank you, Bonnie. Yes.
Meg, is Roman Civ the best course to show?
Any of them, are they all the same? But Roman Civ's one of my favorite courses.
Okay.
And just while Bonnie's doing that, to put a little plug in, I think Patty was going to say that for the academic technology team, we're here to help you throughout the entire course build process, delivery process. You know, when you're starting with the syllabus, we can help you from the beginning and help you come up with some creative ideas, some different approaches to student learning. And if you just email at@antioch.edu, one of us will reach out to you and help you. We provide individual faculty consultations and support. So I will turn it back over. My advertisement is over.
Meg, is it on your readings and video page and not on your weekly lesson page?
I think it's in I'm not going to blame the administration for this, but I haven't gotten any work since the union was voted in. We're going to leave that aside for a political discussion on another day. Maybe it's not in there.
All right. I can go back to
You can go to
one of your other-
Foundations of Civilization.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this point, does anyone have any questions for us? While we're looking for Meg's prediction course. Okay. I have a link in here and I shared out the presentation so you can have the rest of these links. If you're interested or you can't get to them or you're having some problems, just email us at AT and we'll send those links out to you.
Start here.
Okay.
Go to start here.
Oh, start here.
Yeah.
Ah.
There we go.
All right. So this prediction, you had them send themselves an email,
Right.
and then I think it was in your discussion forum. Where
And
they
then I had them,
post-
right. And then at the very end, they had the difference between what they sent themselves.
Here we go.
Between what you thought you were going to learn and and the reason I had them send themselves an email is so that they could find it at the end of the course.
Uh-huh. That's a good idea.
That's the best way to do it as far as I could see.
And in previous courses, you had them predict using ask a question right on the page.
Right. And sometimes that works, but the asking a question thing, again, as soon as you're in public from a psychological point of view, as soon as you have other people reading your stuff, it's a different way of thinking. And I really wanted their thoughts to be more like you're talking to yourself. What do I really think about this? So if you look, you can't see that little picture, but it's a time capsule. And so it's the feeling of a time capsule. You're going back in time because you really don't remember when you start a course. I mean, I've taken all sorts of courses and I don't remember how I started thinking what this course is going to be about before I started. So
Okay.
it's fun. It's actually of all the things that I do in my courses, the thing that I'm constantly saying to my students is, be wrong. Don't be afraid to be wrong. You're not supposed to be right. You just have to be honest. It's a really hard idea to get across to modern students, by the way. They want to be right. And if they're wrong, they feel like, I don't know, all heck's going to break loose.
Okay, well, we're ready to wrap it up. Thank you for coming and sharing. Please contact us if you have any more questions.
And thank you, Meg, too, for your presentation today. We appreciate that.